Morning. It's day 4 of our road trip, and it's in fact our rest day. Our rest day won't just be one day, it'll be about 4 days, because we're actually going to leave in about 4 days time. I've worked out my route back, and we'll discuss that when we leave. That'll be day 5 of our trip. We are going to have some leisure time in Clarence. Beautiful little town to see, very arty and a lot of good restaurants. And we're going to play golf this morning. The golf course is in the background, and going to go hiking in Royal National Park, the Golden Gate Royal National Park. So just to recap our journey so far, I've made a couple of notes. We have done 1,305 kilometers from Cape Town to Clarence, and in total I have spent in electricity 1,102 rands, which equates in litres form to 62 litres. So that gives us in litres form a consumption of 4.7 litres per 100 kilometer. So that is interesting, and that equates to the price of electricity to charge with a public charger to be about half the price of petrol. And just to put the price of electricity in perspective, the price of electricity with grid cars is double what you'd pay for Eskom or from your utility at home. So we're now using the car as a runabout and charging overnight, and so we are again like that, fully charged all the time. So what have I learned from the trip up? I've learned with regard to consumption and long trips in an electric car, the first thing I've learned is that 100 kilometers an hour and above, choose electricity. So if you go less than 100 k's an hour, you have a very efficient car, particularly with the I-PACE and its drag coefficient. The second thing I've learned is that the physics apply. So the higher you go, the more altitude you do, the more you consume. And so I have downloaded an app now to see what the different altitudes are. So that will be interesting on our way back to see the difference in how consumption and range changes with altitude. And then obviously range also changes with the ambient environment. The higher altitude is less pressure on the air, and so you can go further. So, and again, that's wind as well. So it's basically all of the range is dependent on physics. And then 2 last little questions. Whenever you stop, you get bombarded by people coming up to you and asking questions about it, because it's such an unusual thing in South Africa. So the question's always asked, what is the range, what is the range, what is the range? So I think you can comfortably say the range in this car, if you're going at 120 kilometers an hour, is about 330 k's on an open road. And then the other question is, how fast is the car? How fast is it? I don't think top speed is relevant in today's cars. I mean, most cars will put you in jail if you go at top speed. Yeah, I think it's over 200 kilometers an hour, but it's irrelevant. The beauty of the electric car, as I've said before, is the torque, 0 to 104 point something seconds in this car, and that's what gives you this amazing feel, and obviously the silence and the comfort. See you on day 5. Just started our hike to Wodehouse Hike, 10 k's. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. All the sandstone cliffs. Down there is the car park. And if you look carefully, you can see the car. Quite spectacular is how the cliff, sandstone cliff, overhangs as it's been eroded away. So we've just come up to the buttress. This is the path here, and it goes up and up and up. I hope that's not where we're going. Head of Blesbok is so well camouflaged. And pan out, you can see they just disappear. And then this is the hotel in the background. Slowly climbing up onto the escarpment, and yeah, first proper post-COVID workout. There's a route in. We've done a lot of climbing. Very interesting. We're right high now. What's fascinating is to look in the distance. There's the Drakensberg main range. I said it wasn't possible for us to be climbing this big peak, but it looks like we are. We came from down there, we had a little lunch break there, came up on the other side of that. We're heading to the Wodehouse Peak, and it is quite strenuous. Any long COVID I had is now short. We're on top. It's been quite a schlep, well over 1,500 meters of climbing, and we came from down there, and down in there is an I-PACE. Just see it if you're lucky. Panning out, we now can see the big berg, or the majestic main Drakensberg in the distance. A bit hazy, but we have a beautiful winter's day, and I guess that's the beauty of the of winter. You're guaranteed of these beautiful days. So that's our trail. We're on the top of the escarpment now. I just wanted to show that was the peak we got to. It's always difficult to get perspective in the video, but yeah, it's super steep. Down, 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 down to the carport. Don't know how we're going to get down there, but I guess the path will take us. Right, so we are on our descent. Just to let you know where we've come from, the Wodehouse Peak is this one here, which we will take from a car park where we get back, and then that little plateau around there is where we climb to get onto the plateau, and then obviously we can't appreciate the drop, but down there. So we are also on a road trip, so when we get back we're going to do this Oraby loop. So if you have a look over there, the road will go up the other side of the ravine, and there we can see the road up there, and that's a loop in the Golden Gate National Park, and that's going to be fun to take a pic from the other side. Okay, that's the route down. Pretty hectic. There's a frozen waterfall, if I can zoom up on it. Doesn't come out too well with the sun in the background. And there's the peak. There's these little cairns of rock all over the place. Must be such a difficult.
It's got a good
I'm not sure how we're going to get down because it just looks like a cliff. Anyway, one step at a time. There's the horribly loop that we're going to go on in the car, hopefully in the next hour, to see the perspective from the other side. Yeah, the secret is revealed. How we get down. We go underneath the sandstone overhangs. Yes, that one. This overhang of these sandstones. We've come from up here. That's where we walked underneath. This is just to get some perspective of how beautiful the sandstone cliffs are from close up. They really are spectacular. That's why it's called Golden Gate. So we're going to do the little trip around the Oribi Loop. The car in the foreground to get perspective. This is where we walked down this side. So when I had the anxiety of falling, that was somewhere along this edge here. In that sandstone there's a little path, and then we walked along the bottom of the sandstone ridge there, back to the park. We're now on that road opposite to the mountain we've just climbed. So if we pan out, so here's the range that we climbed. We climbed on that ridge all along the top, and the roadhouse top was over there. We climbed along that ridge and then down, and it's so difficult in the shadow, but that is that very steep section of sandstone that we crossed to get down from that ridge down there, and then we moved back across down to the park. So quite an impressive climb and a very beautiful day. And certainly we live in a beautiful country. I just had to take a video of this. This is truly in the middle of nowhere, and there is a plug on the side of the road. One of my people I met on this trip said there might not be petrol stations, but there's always a plug somewhere. So in the middle of this magnificent place, on the side of the road, there's a plug.